We're here today to introduce our new Executive Director, Vanetta Johnson. And there's really no better person we could think of to do that introduction than Gilbert Paisano. And Gilbert talk about a foster youth that had lived his dreams and was able to work with Vanetta he was part of Beyond Emancipation's programs and was able to work with Vanetta as part of Alameda County youth advocacy programs and later at peers. So why don't we go ahead and have Gilbert introduce Vanetta.
Hello everyone, I hope everyone is doing well today. I just first and foremost want to say thank you so much for allowing me to be on this call. Before introducing the woman of the hour, the amazing person Vanetta, I first want to introduce myself because I know that there's many people on this video that may not know who I am. So I am Gilbert. I'm a former foster youth. I am someone that was so grateful and so blessed to be able to utilize the services from Beyond Emancipation. The biggest thing that really sticks out for me was coaching. I was in a position in my life as I was transitioning into adulthood where I wasn't too sure, I wasn't too certain on where I was gonna go. I didn't know if it was gonna be at school, if I wanted to take the school route, get a degree in whatever case may be, or if I was just gonna go simply straight into work, maybe find a trade that could allow me to be stable. I just simply did not know. And thanks to Beyond Emancipation, thanks to the coaching, thanks to the support, the family, the camaraderie, all those different aspects of it, it allowed me to see things from a different perspective. It gave me a vision, it gave me clarity, it gave me motivation, and it even gave me confidence in myself because I thought I was going to be another statistic. Thanks to Beyond Emancipation, I'm not a statistic. I'm a success story. I am financially stable. I have an amazing wife, I have an amazing son, and I have an amazing life. And it's not for me to boast about or just be all high and mighty. It's just to know that where my life was directed, I know that I'm not supposed to be here. And one of the key aspects of my success is Beyond Emancipation, and I am truly grateful for them. The next thing, obviously, is I'm here to introduce Vanetta Johnson. I've been so fortunate, so grateful to get to know who this amazing person is. Many people see her and they say, oh wow, she is such a great, hardworking person. And all that is true. But for me, there is so much more to Vanetta than many people got the opportunity to know. See, Vanetta is all about leading with her heart, leading with love, leading with passion, leading with a desire to see people grow, having a vision that is far beyond any other person's vision, being able to see things even when others do not see it. I know for me, throughout my time working with Vanetta, there are many parts where I was not confident in myself. I didn't think I was going to be able to flourish. I didn't think I was going to be able to grow. But she saw the goodness in me. She saw my potential. She saw that I can be more than what I ever thought I was going to be. I'm so grateful to not only know her, to just see her, but to see her truly grow right now. See, the person that you guys hired as an executive director isn't just another face to an organization. It is a person who's lived through it all, who has battled many challenges throughout her life, both good and bad, but persevered through everything despite her circumstances. She manages to keep a smile on her face. She manages to allow her heart to be big enough to let everybody in and to see how amazing she is. I'm so excited for you all to get to experience the person that I know. I'm so excited for you all to experience this beautiful and amazing human being one of the most greatest human beings that I've ever met in my life. Without further ado, I would like to introduce to you guys Vanetta Johnson.
Awesome. Hi, everyone. Welcome. I'm so glad that we are here in community together. And I will start out by admitting that although there's something comforting about being in my home right now, I would much rather be in person with all of you. I have to say that when I first, so Gilbert couldn't be with us, and so he wanted to make a video to introduce me. And when I heard the video, I was really touched by what he shared. And Gilbert has been around for quite a few years, and I just feel so blessed to be a part of his journey and to provide leadership in a couple of the organizations that we both worked at. So I want to kind of bring to the surface early on, as I share a little bit about myself, is that I have lived experience in the foster care system. And so that is my connection to BE. I know that was a question that was posed, and many of you shared your connection. And so my lived experience is what connects me to this work. I feel honored to be able to serve at an organization where I can be a living embodiment of the work and the mission. And to stand before you as someone with a lived experience and say, you know, this is where your investment is going. And so I'm excited to be here. I shared with my staff early on that a few years ago, when I was kind of assessing the next steps in my career, I had wrote on my vision board that I wanted to work for an organization like BE. And I am still in awe that I'm actually here. And so one of the things that I really liked about BE is the holistic approach to supporting foster youth. And that really resonated with me. And so I'm looking forward to continuing that approach and working with all of you. So I wanted to kind of shift gears a little bit and talk about some of my professional experience. So I bring over 20 years of professional experience. I started my career in the administrative field in corporate and government sectors. And after battling my desire to do more meaningful work, I made a transition to the nonprofit sector. My nonprofit journey started out, I started out volunteering at a foster family agency in the Central Valley. And then from there, I moved on to work for West Coast Children's Clinic here in Oakland, and I helped to manage the Youth Advocate Program. The Youth Advocate Program is a workforce development program for former foster and probation youth. And that's actually where I met Gilbert, and where I was also first introduced to Beyond Emancipation, as we worked together in partnership to support Alameda County foster youth. And that was also a partnership with Alameda County Children and Family Services. And this was actually, to this day, actually, this was one of my most rewarding positions. And I had a chance to do direct service work while also leading, providing leadership and management within that particular program. And I'm still connected to a lot of the youth during my particular cohort. And so after moving on from the Youth Advocate Program, I shifted to an organization called Peers. And Peers is a peer-run mental health organization that promotes self-determination and provides wellness solutions that empower systems impacted youth and adults to take charge of their own mental health and wellness. And I started there as a program manager, and then quickly moved up the ladder to become the executive director of that organization. And at Peers is where I had an opportunity to really hone my leadership skills and apply my strengths to help transform the organization and the mental health community that we served. And I'm looking forward to bringing what life and work has taught me and to apply it to BE in our community.
So eloquently spoken. Let's talk a little bit about your lived experience, your professional experience, Vanetta, and say how that comes across in your leadership style. Talk about how that's influenced your leadership style and how you hope to bring that to Beyond Emancipation.
Yeah, thank you, John. So I see myself as a transformational leader, and I say that's kind of my new word. I've been saying that the last couple years, and particularly from my experience at Peers and being able to kind of paint a picture there, use that as my the opportunity where I really got to apply, just really pour everything into the work. And so as a transformational leader, I also share that there's kind of 3 components that I see to my leadership that I want to share. And that's leading with heart, wisdom, and intention. And for me, leading with heart is being authentic, being able to bring my passion and my lived experience to the work. It's really critical that being able to just bring that lived experience to the table. There's a lot of people that are in decision-making positions that don't quite understand the population that we're serving. And so that feels really critical to me and to the organization. And being able to keep that at the forefront of our minds, the mission and the passion helps to push the organization forward in a very intentional way. And the second one is wisdom. And so I really take my time around assessing, doing an assessment, like particularly when I step into organizations, kind of this is a process that I'm going through with BE, assessing what the needs are, really talking to the various stakeholders to understand what's going on, what the needs are, what our strengths are as an organization, where our opportunities for growth, and then identifying our internal resources and external resources to help kind of push those that work forward. And so I've applied this at Peers and have noticed a transformation there. And I also enjoy kind of along that same kind of line of assessing needs, that I also enjoy unpacking strengths, skills, and interests of staff and applying them to the needs of the organization. And I have found that to be a win-win combination for both staff and leadership. And then lastly, the intention piece is that I have a focus on mission, vision, and values, and how to connect all the components of the organization to those pieces. And what I noticed from my work at Peers, actually that was the first goal that I had when I stepped into the role as Executive Director of Peers. And it's also my focus here at BE is connecting, bringing mission alignment across all components of the organization. And just that alone, I noticed a really big shift in the organization, and it shifted the internal culture. Staff felt valued, it increased productivity. We were able to, that also, the internal culture also impacts our participants and the people we serve. We were able to deepen and broaden our reach. So reaching, helping more people, serving more people, and our data, there was a shift in what folks were reporting, that they felt more impacted by our work. And then also that we were able to experience strengthened partnerships and collaborations in the community.
Thanks, Vanetta, and my friend and fellow board member, Michael Allison, just reminded me that we went through a very extensive search process for a new executive director. And for me, I was just so overwhelmed with the dozens, really hundreds of nonprofit leaders that wanted to come and work with us here at Beyond Emancipation because of the amazing mission we have. But we all feel very grateful that we found you, that you are nice enough to take this role. And I think, to your point, we all felt authentic was one of the things you both said and certainly came across in that process. So let's talk about that in kind of your first few months in your job. And it's been a weird few months for everybody, but love to hear about what you've learned and kind of what has stood out to you just having started the role a few months ago.
Yep, so I've been on board about 2 months now, but like I said, I've been a longtime fan of MBE. MBE's been around for 25 years and has a really good reputation in the community. And one of the things that stood out for me is the coaching model. And for those that are not familiar with our model, it's called Creative, Connected, Resourceful, and Whole. And through this model, our coaches walk alongside our youth and supporting them in their transition into adulthood. And that, it's just brilliant. And I'm so glad that, that BE took the time to really invest in our youth in this way. And then also the staff have a whatever it takes mentality. And I shared with the staff recently that I think we should just tear up our job descriptions and put whatever it takes to support our youth. And although it was a joke, it really is the essence of what I'm seeing in staff, and they're really committed and hardworking, and I am truly inspired by them. And then lastly, the commitment of our board, our partners, and then the generosity of our community. We have a great deal of individual donors, volunteers. For example, we have 3 community houses, and we have volunteers that regularly support these houses, whether it's providing food or clothing or bedding, redoing rooms, decorating. And so I just feel really overwhelmed with the amount of support that we have, and really feel fortunate to have that.
Speaking of whatever it takes, I imagine that has played for you in the last few months, was just all the new issues and all the events of the last few months. So talk a little bit about how that's impacted our youth and how it's been responding.
Yeah, we are definitely all going through a really unusual time. And the COVID-19 crisis and recent racial injustices have really illuminated the broken system that we work within. Over 90% of our youth are people of color, and of that 90%, 60% are African American. So there is definitely a call on our end to really support these youth during this time. It's really critical for us to continue to hold our youth in this way. And then due to the shelter in place mandates, youth are feeling isolated right now. And so our coaches are providing more one-on-one support and offering virtual workshops and support groups so that youth can be in community while also learning life skills. For example, we currently have a 4-week support group where we're focusing on supporting youth specifically through COVID-19. We're gonna focus on some mental health tools and then also some fun challenges to keep youth engaged. And that's just one example of how we are responding. And then also the needs, the basic needs of youth is something also that we're really working to meet. It's really difficult when youth have basic needs like food and shelter, needing to pay bills. And when those things aren't covered, it's really hard to focus on being able to participate in programming. So these are some of the things that are coming up that we're responding to.
I think you also mentioned maybe a tech program, because I always think it's interesting when people say, okay, go home and do learning at home with your high-speed internet and your laptop, and those are expensive things that are out of the reach of a lot of parts of our community. I think we also have a tech program that's helped some people out as well, part of our youth.
Yeah. So we are, to meet that technology need, we are working with Tech Exchange, I Foster, and John Burton Advocates for Youth.
That's great. So talk about youth. I think it's a great time, and this is one of my favorite parts, one of the board's favorite parts of everything we do, is get to actually meet some of the youth that we're fortunate enough to help in some small way. So Kashmere Fritz has been part of B for 3 years. Hi, Kashmere. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your story?
Okay. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Kashmere Fritz. At this moment, I attend Berkeley City College, and I will be attending Cal State East Bay in the fall. Now, I plan on to get my bachelor's in sociology, and in the future, I plan on getting my master's in social work. Now, my career goal is to become a social worker for Alum County. Once I receive my master's, I plan to get my license in social work and open my own group home. At this moment, I am part of the educational program and housing program. In August, it will be a year that I've been staying in my very first own apartment. As we all know, this quarantine has put a large gap into us. I know for me, it wasn't a huge challenge transitioning to online classes because I love online classes. I'd rather sit at home and do online work than sit in the classroom and engage with the teachers and others. But it did cause me and my family to bump heads a lot. Sitting in the house, you overthink things, you're stressed, you're emotional. So we was all just bumping heads at the beginning of this pandemic. But we got through it. Relationships are improving and we're getting better. I'm the oldest on both sides of my family. I'm the first generation college student. I started college with no clue of what I was walking into. I had no idea how I was going to pay for books, tuition, classes, meals, transportation, because I am not driving. But just to find out that the Next Up program and Beyond Emancipation already had resources set up for me for my college year. Now, for those who do not know, Next Up program is on, I believe, all the throughout the colleges, and it's for former or foster youth. So if you know anybody that graduated from high school and is a foster youth, please connect them to Next Up program on either campuses. Now, I planned on attending Contra Costa College, but Berkeley City College Next Up program called me and told me I'm eligible for their program, which introduced me to Beyond Emancipation. Now, Beyond Emancipation welcomed me with open arms the first time I walked in the door. I was timid, I was shy, I was uncomfortable when I first met my worker, and she recognized that. I was uncomfortable because being a foster kid, you have to already talk to these multiple people, social workers, judges, lawyers, therapists, cops, the foster parents, and your own parents. So I walked in there saying that here I go again. I'm about to tell another person my story. I'm about to have another person look at me as a foster kid. But she recognized how timid and shy I was. And she told me, it's okay that you are a foster kid. It's okay that you have a story. Everybody has a story. And you should share with others, other kids that or just, share your story with the world and be an advocate for the youth, because you never know what the next person is going through. And it may be a kid out there that is going through the same thing you're going through. Now, as I said before, the Beyond Emancipation, they greet you at the door. As soon as I walk in, they already know my name. They even met one of my puppies. And they treat you like your family. They don't look at you as a foster kid. They don't look at you as a young adult with a baby or a background. They treat you as their own. That I thank them for that. Just making, all the youth comfortable being in our office or just sitting there whether they have a meeting or not. As far as being the Beyond Emancipation, I had 3 past caseworkers. One was Isra, who I mentioned in the beginning that I said that was a caseworker who told me that it's okay to be a foster kid. And Simhar and Shanina, they were my educational caseworkers. We met on campus. Me and Shanina, we had a really good relationship. I could joke around with her. I could just sit in the office and talk about personal life. She's actually the reason that I have been introduced to the housing program, which I met Shahida, who we have a really good relationship. I know it's genuine. I know it's loving. I know she called to check up on me. just because she cared, whether I have nothing to ask or I have nothing to say. She still can't check up on me. We have a really understanding relationship. She understands that I'm very independent. I like to handle everything on my own. And she respects that, and I respect her for respecting that. Before as I wrap up, my part, I just want to thank everybody in the Beyond Emancipation for welcoming me and the other foster youth in the program and supporting me through my journey as a young adult. Thanks to people that's been supporting the Beyond Emancipation, because they have created a beautiful, amazing program, and I am proud to be a part of it. And I just want to welcome Vanetta to the program. I know we are in quarantine and I can't see you physically, but when the doors do open again, I do plan on coming to the office, and I hope that we come across each other and, we could build a relationship as well. And I look forward to meeting you. Thank you.
Someone that's shy and timid, Kashmere, you did a very amazing job. And so very well done. And I think we're all impressed with both the dream that you have and all you're doing to get yourself towards that dream. So very, very impressive. So Vanetta, when you hear someone like that, one of our youth, tell us how that makes you think about some of your immediate priorities, including maybe how we're working with some of our community collaborators and our partners, and tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, well, first I want to thank Kashmere, and I love seeing the self-determination, and
Absolutely.
Beautiful. So keep doing what you're doing. And then kind of back to the question is, so similar to what I mentioned at the last, in my last response, is just focusing on meeting the basic needs of our youth. Also, we have a strong partnership with Alameda County Department of Children and Family Services. And so there are independent living program. And so working with them as a huge partner in crime in what we're doing, and just really to support the needs of our youth. The immediate basic needs of our youth, and then also strengthening our trauma-informed services. 100% of our youth have experienced trauma by way of their experience in foster care, and it's critical that we bring in more mental health services, and we will do that through community collaborations, collaborating with other organizations, and then also strengthening our services as well.
So I'm going to ask people to start thinking about what additional questions you want to ask Vanetta. We have a few we've already gotten that sent in beforehand. And I'll ask Vanetta one more question as well. You talked a little bit about, so please send in your questions on chat. That'd be great. You talked a little bit about some of your short-term priorities, Vanetta. What are the longer-term things you're thinking about that you'd look back in 5 years and be very proud of how you shaped and BE and all the great things that we will hopefully accomplished?
Yeah, sure. So before I jump into that, I want to, there's one more thought I had around our immediate priorities. And I need to highlight that we need to support our students. And across the state, there's 55% of foster youth graduate high school in 4 years. That's a 30% lower graduation rate than their peers. While we've done a lot of work to improve this, schools are receiving funding cuts, Oakland Unified School District being one, and there is a need to support foster youth as the budget cuts impacted their foster youth support services. And so we are looking to fill that gap. And so I wanted to make sure that I didn't leave that out.
Great.
So to the 5-year plan, right now I am on a listening tour and getting to know our youth, our supporters, our communities, to get a better understanding of what the needs are and what the opportunities are. And so I envision doing that really over the next several months. And one thing I am certain about is that we want no foster youth left behind. The 300 foster youth exit care in Alameda County every year, and it is critical to me that we are able to support all 300. And one major way that we could do that, and that I want to highlight is in the 5-year plan, is providing more stable housing. We currently house almost 100 youth a year, and so I would like to see those numbers double or even triple to match that 300 foster youth number that exit the foster care system. We want to take the opportunity to start an alum program. And we want to build a peer community. We want to have these, the alums serve as peer mentors using our coaching model to support our current foster youth. As an alum myself, I think it's a really good time to start this. I know it's a vision that BE has held for quite a while. So we are this year, and this will be a strategic planning year for us, and we will really work together as a community to think about the goals for the future. And so there's more to come on that, but this is what I envision so far, 2 months in. But there's definitely lots of work to do, and I am looking forward to this new journey for BE.
That's fantastic. Remember you talking earlier about, and we're getting some questions in, so let me start with one. You talked earlier about on your vision board early on, you had this idea, I want to participate, work with an organization like BE. What are some of the things you're most looking forward to in your role as executive director at BE?
So I think really kind of going back to that listening tour, I am really enjoying getting to know people, getting to know our community members. But also just, I want to be able to sit with the youth and talk to them. And I know this virtual world creates a scenario that's not ideal. But, you know, when I think about BE, my experience with BE, you know, years ago, when I walked through the office, youth are just hanging out there. They're on the computers, they're lounging around in the lobby on the couches, or they're in workshops, and I miss that. And so I'm looking forward to us getting back into the office and being able to provide in-person services. And then also just this year of assessing our needs, going through a strategic planning process, and really discovering what the future holds for us.
Great. One of the things I love about being involved is just to have some access to understanding this important part of our community. And this is even more crazy now during these times. Tell us how BE is responding to and activating during this moment in our history. And you talked about it a little bit before. I don't know if you can expand on that even more now.
Yeah, you know, it's just a really critical time for us. And so really just honing in on how we can be more trauma-informed in our programming, providing that mental health support, and also more culturally relevant. And what does that look like for us? And then also how do we partner with key organizations to position ourselves as social justice leaders and a part of the movement to bring awareness to some of the critical needs that are impacting our youth. As I mentioned, 90% of our youth are people of color. And so how do we position ourselves even outside of our current community into bigger picture, maybe more statewide efforts as well, local and statewide efforts. And so that's something that we're thinking about this year.
I love that big vision. That's great. Talked about how your lived experience has helped you prepare for this role. I know that's something that's probably on people's mind, and we got one question on that.
Yeah, and I do want to do a shout out because my sister asked this question. And my sister, I was very fortunate to have my sister go along with me in my foster care experience. A lot of youth, a lot of kids get separated from their siblings. And so my sister and I, we are really close, and I appreciate that we got to go through that journey together. So my lived experience has shaped my leadership, totally shaped my leadership style, from just the authenticity, leading with passion and heart and wanting to be wise, making the right decisions and listening and being humble. It's definitely shaped being able to bring my lived experience to the table to shape programming and services has been a huge part of my leadership. And then, as kind of going back years ago to my foster care experience, one of the things I experienced, we didn't have AB-12 back then. And so as soon as I turned 18, I emancipated. And with the kind of having to live with limited resources kind of forces you to think outside of the box when approaching life and work. And so I learned that skill through that experience and definitely apply that to my work. And then just despite the many challenges that I face in care, I will say I've also gained other skills, like kind of going back to what I shared about Kashmere, that self-determination, and being able to move forward despite, and then also, when you've been through something like that, it's like you almost feel like anything else is possible. So
we talked about a 5-year plan. I think our 10-year plan is that we'll all work for Kashmere in about 10 years. So that's kind of what my plan is at this point. So I'll start being nice to her. So I'm going to just make it a little tough on you. You've done such a great job on a 2-part question, which is how many of our coaches are volunteers and how many of our coaches are staff members? What do we say coaches? What do we mean by that? And I guess kind of the second part of that is, what are some ways that people kind of outside the immediate Beyond Emancipation staff can get involved? I know you talked a little bit about alumni networks. What are other ways that other people in the community can get involved? And obviously we have very fortunate to have lots of people in the community listening today. So I think most of our coaches are staff members, but love to talk about kind of your view in general about how the greater community can get involved.
Yep. So yes, you got that right. All of our coaches are staff members, and they are technically their titles like case manager and coach, and they support youth in using our coaching framework, our coaching model, where we empower the youth to where it's youth led. So their work is youth led. Believing that the youth really can identify, what it is that they want out of life and help to move that forward with the right support. So we walk alongside them and not telling them what to do and what, who they should be. And then with the alum program, those are, focused on former foster youth and providing a peer community. And we envision training them on our coaching model where they can volunteer to provide support to our current youth. And so that's would be a volunteer opportunity. And then outside of that, we do have a few volunteers, and we've been talking about how to strengthen our volunteer program. We got quite a few requests to provide support. And so some ways that folks can get involved is to share awareness about the challenges that youth face who are in foster care. A lot of people don't know that. I know there's a lot of things going on in our world, and sometimes this topic can get overlooked amidst all the challenges that our world is currently facing. So we don't want to leave our youth behind. You can follow us on social media, share our posts. You can share our success stories, such as Gilbert and Kashmere's story. Sometimes being able to put a face to the story really makes it real. And then make a gift. Sometimes employers do gift matching, so that is one option. And then be a part of foster youth support system. So you can reach out to us for volunteer opportunities. You can, depending on your particular skill set, you can volunteer to facilitate a workshop around life skills, career panels. So there's a few ways to get involved. We have 3 community houses. And so there's needs that are there. We also have a closet of where we have clothes that professional clothing that we'll give to the youth that are preparing for job interviews. So that's another way to give. But if in doubt, always reach out to us and we will connect you with the right department.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. You've done such an amazing job today, and we're very fortunate that you're here and very grateful that you are here. Do you want to share any final thoughts, Vanetta?
Yeah, thank you. Well, just really excited again to be leading such a dynamic organization, to be here in community with all of you, although it doesn't feel so communal with our virtual world, but I just appreciate you all. It's Thursday at 4, 5-ish. Just, thank you for taking the time to hear me out, to hear more about my personal and professional experience, and then my vision for BE and what we plan to do in the next couple of years. Also, just a thank you to our funders, to our supporters, to our volunteers. Thank you for all that you do. This work would not be possible without you. Your support makes it possible for people like Gilbert and Kashmere to realize their dreams. And we really appreciate you. And I think that is it.
That's it. So thank you, Vanetta. You did an amazing job. I think next time we're going to do it in which you're going to talk for 3 or 4 hours. So that's going to be great. I'm just kidding. You did an amazing job talking for an hour today. That was good. We want to thank everyone for taking an hour out of their day and being part of the young people's lives in our community. We certainly appreciate that. Look for a survey in your inbox. We'll ask you what you thought about the event, maybe what kind of events do you like to see in the future. And thank you so much. Have the great rest of your day, everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Vanetta. Welcome.